Number two, get your Yelp page in order. You've heard me talk about Yelp and the importance of customer reviews because more and more people are using Yelp to find businesses and see what other people are saying about them. So, as you've heard me say before, ask some of your customers to review you on Yelp and make sure that you just have a good page that you have actually added some of your own content to. You can claim your business on Yelp and add in some descriptions and interact with your customers that way. So, so a medium priority would be to get your Yelp page in order. Be LinkedIn. Again, I've talked about the importance both for individuals within your company and your company as a whole to have LinkedIn profiles. The nice thing about LinkedIn, I think, is that it requires very little maintenance because individual LinkedIn profiles don't change any more regularly than your individual resume might, which for most people is not very often. And the same thing with LinkedIn company profiles. Those don't have to change a ton or regularly. So LinkedIn is one of those places that you want to be. It seems to be an interesting phenomenon. I think LinkedIn. I think I get as many LinkedIn requests as I do Facebook requests, and I don't think as hard about the LinkedIn ones because those those seem like professional connections and it's somehow less personal than a friend request on Facebook. But I think, I think more and more people are using LinkedIn by virtue of the fact that it is a good networking tool. So it's just a good place to be, an important place to be for companies. So it makes the medium priority list. Use a deals site if you're interested in or you have the capacity to give up a little revenue in the interest of gaining a lot of new customers, particularly if there's a way that you can make sure that those customers are going to be around for a while, or that you can have good follow-up with those customers, then these deal sites are really good for you. For many of our telecommunications clients, I recommend trying out a deal site, particularly if you're looking for a way to just try to gain a big new customer base. It's something that we'd be happy to look at numbers for you on. But it's also just a great way to attract a sort of a younger crowd in terms of people who are looking for offers online. Beef up your YouTube channel. I always say that YouTube is the social network that we don't really think of as a social network. And yet, in many ways, it really is. And YouTube videos are shared all over social media. You can, of course, become friends with people through YouTube if you want to. But just beefing up your YouTube channel does not mean you have to do a lot of incredibly professionally done, expensive video content. Just get some videos up. It can be as informal as your CEO or your president talking about some changes in your company. It can be one of your product managers talking a little bit about a new product or service that is being offered. It can be showing how to do something, taking some screenshots and piecing together a tutorial on how to do certain things. Just add some video content, and so that you have a YouTube channel that you can point to and be proud of, because that is going to drive people to your website. It's going to drive people to your social media sites, and will be a big help to you. And write a company social media policy. I talked with a client of ours last week, and he was saying that he was interviewing somebody for a position, and the person asked what the company's social media strategy was and policy was, and all those sorts of things. And our client's comment was, this is just happening more and more. People want to know how companies are engaging with social media. And I think that is very true when it comes to your own employees, and they're curious about how you're going to feel about them using social media at work, whether or not they should or shouldn't be saying things about your company on social media, all of those sorts of things. And those are all things that you can address within a company-wide social media policy. I'll remind you here that we put together a draft template of such a policy that we're happy to give out to people in case you want that. But it's something that you just should be thinking about because as social media becomes more and more popular and comes more and more into not only the mainstream, which it already is, but sort of into the professional world and into people's daily usage, it's something you're going to want to think about. And finally, let's talk about some low priorities, things that you don't need to think as much about. Maintain a good Twitter presence. I put Twitter in the low priority category, mostly because most of our clients tend to be medium to small sized companies, and I think because there's so much noise on Twitter, and because once you're following a few dozen people, there's just sort of constant information that it's hard to keep up with. I think it's really hard for small and medium-sized companies to be heard on Twitter and to make an impact on Twitter. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that given the expectation of Twitter, which is that for companies and individuals who are doing it well, they're tweeting usually multiple times a day. Often for medium and small-sized companies, there's just not that much to say. And it just becomes a hassle. But again, if you have the time to do it and the resources to do it and the interest to do it, then maintaining a good Twitter presence can really help you out. But I do stick it among the lower priorities. Try Foursquare or other location-based services. Foursquare was for a while coming in, it was competing heavily with Facebook Places as location-based software to places you could check in and get deals and things like that. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, Facebook Places is now going by the wayside. But if you have an event that people are likely to be coming to, a community event, that sort of thing, you might consider making it something that people can check into via Foursquare. Maybe they get a coupon when they do or something like that. It's not something I think that is necessarily going to drive tons of business to you, but on the other hand, for people who use Foursquare, they use it faithfully. And so it's, again, among the lower priorities, but something to think about if you've got the time and the interest. Push out your content using Dig or Reddit or StumbleUpon. These sort of news and media-related services are, I think, most appropriate in terms of business use for news and media type companies. But I do think there is worth, particularly when you have big company news or a corporate rebranding or things like that. There is a lot to be said for making sure that your press releases are in these places. Again, I put them among the lower priorities just because of the number of users they have. But there's something that if you're doing the full sweep of social media and you have the time for that, they are things that you might consider. So those are the low priorities, and then the no priority: Bebo, Buzz, Friendster, Habbo, Orkut, Plaxo, and yes, MySpace. And here's an image that I found online that was suggesting that Friendster is now in the social media graveyard. These social media sites, you've probably heard of some of them. You may not have heard of others. These ones really don't need your attention as a business. They are, some of them are very popular in other countries, but not ours. Others of them have just sort of fallen by the wayside and are losing momentum quickly. MySpace being sort of the great example of that. And so you really just don't need to give any of your energy to these. I think when social media first started becoming big, say maybe 3 years ago or so, companies felt like, okay, I have to be in as many places as I possibly can, so every social media service that's out there I'm going to sign up for. And I really just don't think that's necessary. I think now we're seeing, that if you can be in a few places and be in those places really well, that's much better than being all over the place and doing a sort of scattershot version of social media. So some takeaways about this topic that I wanted to share. First of all, you don't have to do everything at once. You can do a social media, sort of a phased approach with social media, and you really should, set your priorities so that you're not trying to do everything at once. So that you can sort of do the things that are most important first, and then start worrying about the things that aren't quite as important. So just remember, you don't have to do everything at once. And most important, as I said a minute ago, is having a positive image in a few places. Just making sure that the places that you have engaged in social media are places that you have really done excellently and that you are maintaining regularly, keeping a good eye on, so that if information changes with your company, or if there's news that you need to share, or if there's an expectation like there is on Facebook or Twitter about how much you're posting, that you're keeping up with all of those things. So I think the most important thing for companies is just having a really well done social media presence in a few places. This takeaway, this third takeaway, I say various sites are as good as your interest in them. And what I mean by that is that, I put Twitter fairly low on the list. I put Dig and Reddit down there. But the caveat to all of that is that some social media sites are really going to grab your attention and others aren't. And if you have a passion for a particular social media site, then you should make the most of that, because your passion for using that particular service, that particular site, is going to come through in how you post. If you are just really not excited about Twitter, for instance, then your tweets are going to feel that way. It's going to feel like you are, just sort of doing it because you feel like you have to, and so it's probably not worth it. But if you are, really excited about StumbleUpon's ability to share sites and recommend sites and that sort of thing, and you really sort of click with how the functionality works and all of that, then you should run with it, even though it's on sort of my list of lower priorities. If you have a passion for it, you're going to do it well. And so, that's the takeaway I would offer there. That just because something may not be the most popular doesn't mean that you have to neglect it if it's something that you really are interested in. And the last takeaway, your priorities should match your strategy. And this probably goes without saying, but once you get that social media strategy written, then you should make sure that you're spending time focusing on the things that are actually going to help you carry out that strategy as you move forward with social media. So that's it for the topic of social media and where and how to focus your social media efforts. You can see the next date of the Straight Talk on Social Media webinar will be 2 weeks from today on Friday, September 9th. I'm not sure what the focus topic will be just yet, but we'll let you know that as soon as we can. And again, I'm always open to suggestions. If there's a topic that you're just burning to know about, please by all means let me know. The slides from this presentation today will be up on our Facebook page in just a few minutes here, and the video within a day or two. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email, and my email address is there on the screen as well. Dave Neustraden's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar will be this coming Wednesday, the 31st, at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So for our telecommunications clients, please join us for that as well. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great weekend. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight. Thanks, everyone.